with somebody who's a manager of a team of about 12, and they're not a remote team. They're not set up for this naturally. How can you think about managing a team? How can you, bring empathy into that, understand what people are going through, but also try and have some clear communication? What are your tips for if you have never really worked remotely and you're trying to set this up for your team and trying to help them succeed here?
Okay, this is great because I literally just created an online course about this, and there's a whole section about managing your team remotely. So
fantastic.
So I think the thing is, first, you want to trust your team. Like, resist the urge to micromanage them, because that is going to be if you start doing that, it is going to be a long-lasting, terrible thing for your relationship. So start with trust, right? That's where I want to start. Then video is your friend. Right? There is kind of a rule of communication that we get 7% of the communication understood from our words. I think it's 38% from our tone and our voice. And the other 55% comes from body language, from what we understand through communication. And so to the extent that you can have video calls, have video calls. Even if it's just like a quick FaceTime of like, I just need to chat with you for a few minutes about this. Use video anytime you can. I think that is really key to communication. Another thing that you want to do is, and some of these are just like good management tips in general, right? But it's like, you really want to have very clear expectations around goals. We want to kind of ditch the feelings about, like how much time is someone working and hours and all of that, and get super specific about measurable goals and what they're getting, what you need them to achieve during this time. I also think you want to get to, stay connected, right? Understand what's going on for them. So if you're someone who maybe you didn't know that much about the personal lives of your employees, don't pry, but ask them, hey, how is everything going? Is there anything that I could help you with? What does your schedule look like? Are there times that you need to block out your calendar because you're not going to be available for meetings because, you have a baby in there, whatever it is, right?
That, yeah.
Or
you're doing a parenting shift and you're not, you're on duty.
You're not available. And so I think this is the time for flexibility. I think one thing managers can do too is try to set up what are the core hours? So your team is probably going to be working all kinds of crazy hours right now, right? Because some people are only going to have the early morning time and some people are going to have late time. But is there a couple of hours in the day where your team can commit to just being available to each other if someone needs something? Maybe that's not that you're on Slack 100% of the time, but that if somebody calls you, you'll pick up. And knowing that not only helps each of your employees to help set their schedules with their partners if they have them, et cetera, but it helps everyone to not feel frustrated because they know, here's the time I can reach out to someone because I know they're going to be relatively available then.
So to start that off, would you recommend doing a group video call at the beginning of that time, or too disruptive?
I think probably not. No, I would say it's just more of being available. I think it can be a really good idea though to do a daily, call them stand-up meetings, right? When you're in the office where everyone's going around and saying, here's what I'm working on and here's what I'm blocked by. I think it can be a really good idea for a remote team to have a virtual version of this once a day, even if just for 10 to 15 minutes where everyone can jump on and just let everyone know it is 100% okay that your baby's on your lap during this time, or whatever it is,
or there's a dog or whatever.
Be dressed, but other than that, we're just gonna let things slide a little bit right now. We don't have to be as professional as we would otherwise be when we're with each other because we can't be right now. And then I think the last thing that I would really suggest that managers do when they're managing a remote team in a situation like this is reach out to every single one on your team and ask them if there's anything they need to be productive. Do they need a monitor, right? Do they is their Wi-Fi terrible? Is there something that they would need that would help their situation be much more productive from home? Because I think a lot of people are a little hesitant to ask for things. They're well, I don't know. It seems like a lot or whatever. So I think actually being proactive and saying is there anything that you need whether that's something physical or whether that's like something that you just need me to know or whatever it is that I can help you with.